Hello and good day. This is Dr. Scott Robinson with another episode of There Are No Lines in Heaven. And for my patient member clients, for those that know me, they've seen big changes since I've left California and moved to Florida. They also know that this is the 27th anniversary of my 508 theocentric eleemosynary, which made me very different. I had to leave California many years ago simply because California would not allow me to practice my form of medicine, alternative, complementary, integrative, and spiritual, including God, with my patients. So I took another turn. After my second near death experience, I became a Church of One, a theocentric eleemosynary, a spiritual connection between one and the Creator. And in doing so, many things have transpired over the years. And I'd like to introduce you as a result to my next guests, August Rose, the right hand of her father, Bradley Logan, who I've now known for some time. They are both my legal counsels and part of Prosperous Legacy Advisors from Costa Rica. And they are on the same page as I am, where spirit comes first, and the fact that we are divine children of God with a message to be shared with everybody so that we can all be prosperous and live in our divine truth. Hello and welcome to There Are No Lines in Heaven.
Mm. Hello,
Hello,
thank you.
Scott.
Hello,
So good to
Bradley.
be here with you.
Before I knew August Rose, and her dad, Bradley, will tell you, he can't go anywhere without them. Anything he needs, he looks to his daughter. His daughter is probably the top notch paralegal there could be, even without being called a paralegal. So, Bradley, welcome. August Rose, nice to have you here. And I know that she wants to be the pretty face in the background. She's the technical advisor and, of course, the legal assistant. But we will ask her a few questions down the road. So, Bradley, are you ready for those questions we have prepared for you?
I am indeed, Scott. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on my favorite subject, God's Law, and appreciate the work that you're doing here. So thank you for having us on to
Uh,
play with you.
Very good to have you. All right. Number one question from the audience is, before discussing divine law, and what does it mean? What brought you into the so-called work, or I'll call it divine path? What actually made you go into this?
Yeah, so it started through healthcare or through the industry of medicine or uh, whatever we want to call that in our system in the matrix, right? Is this idea that we go to a doctor, we go to a licensed professional to get a diagnosis for or proclamation over our being, right? And so what I started to learn is that we had uh, given away our authority as it relates to our own vessel, our own sanctuary, by going to licensed professionals, somebody who studied the system for years and years and years in order to advise others on what they can best do in their own body. And
Were
my
you both in
beloved,
tort law as well as workers' comp, or were you just in health law?
so this, no, this wasn't actually in the practice of law. This was outside. This was my beloved had been diagnosed with cancer. And in that journey, so she got the diagnosis, and then she had to wait 3 weeks to get in to see the cancer surgeon for the first consult. And in that period of waiting, she started doing research in relationship to how to get rid of this foreign thing in her body called cancer. And she got caught up in a bunny trail on the internet about the ability to do that without visiting a Western medicine doctor, right?
I
And
feel.
so, yeah. And so that's what she did. And she never went to see that surgeon. In fact, the surgeon then started sending certified letters to our house saying, hey, you didn't appear for your, in response to your diagnosis from our office, you didn't appear with our surgeon to talk about how to, take this cancer out of your body. And we just didn't, and she was getting nervous. I mean, the letter was rather threatening, kind of like you would get from an
And they do
attorney.
that. I have a
Yeah.
question for you. What state was it, and are you allowed to even discuss the name of the insurance company?
Oh, I'll tell you anything and everything you want to know about it. I don't
That's
keep
what my
secrets.
audience wants to hear. What? Because
Yeah.
I have some stories to tell you about threat and I've seen that happen with my patients. So or my
Yeah,
member.
absolutely. Yeah, so we were in the state of Arizona, and Cigna was the insurance company that oh no, let me take that back. Blue Cross Blue Shield was the insurance company I think we had at the time. But it wasn't so much coming through the insurance company at that point. We hadn't filed a claim or anything like that. It was actually coming from the doctor's office. You know, you go and you visit the doctor, and now his license, because of his identity tied to that license, feels some obligation to enforce the protocol with respect to what they consider best practices, and all they know is how to push poison and surgery
And
for
the
these.
bottom line also, having worked in the other industry, it's all about money. All about money.
Yeah.
They get paid a fortune. The average cancer patient in the United States will be charged $1 million through standard care, chemotherapy, drugs, radiation, surgery, and it's all about money. The doctor that I talk about, the 7 foot tall guy, he made $3.4 million for scripts every month doing his therapies that were pre approved by the American Medical Association and the California Medical Association. So I understand it really
Yeah.
well.
Well,
And
well, and I
I
liken
know,
it
yeah,
to the idea that it's not actually the doctors that are controlling the processes, it's the insurance companies, because the
yes.
doctor has to code everything to an insurance code in order to be paid for it. And
Who
so,
owns the insurance companies?
you know, it's the same group that owns all the other things, the media companies, the education system, the
The hospital
university,
system.
the hospital system. It's all controlled by that elite few at the top. And this program of licenses has all been put together to feed that pyramid system
And
that
to
they started at
control
the
it,
top and to
manipulate it,
control.
control
Yeah.
it. And if you go outside the system, they have conniptions, they threaten you.
Yeah.
In my case, my one patient that I was called in for a consultation, called in by a fellow chiropractor who, when I went in, since I have this Holy Spirit energy to be able to witness things around it, the lady came in with the sense of abuse. And I looked at her shadow around her auric field and I said, three people have abused you. One threatened you more than the other two. What happened? And this is the cause of your illness, your true illness. And she said, I had three doctors all threatened me that if I didn't take chemotherapy, I would lose my insurance. I said, that's against the law. And she said, well, I went through with it and I always felt resentment. I said to her, do you want me to clear out this feeling or spiritual entity of resentment, or do you want the other doctor to work on you? And she said, I'll let the other doctor take care of it. But the biggest thing is that stays in the auric field, and that resentment then forms its own evil. Its entity grows into its own disease state, and it perpetuates. And so, one of the greatest things is when I was told either do it their way or hit the highway, I said, I'm hitting the highway because if I take your way, I'm dead. I won't
Yes.
be on this planet because they gave me 9 months to a year to live. And I said, if I take your medicine, it's 9 months to a year to live. I'm going to Mexico. And that began my new journey spiritually. So when I came back 3 months later and they couldn't find anything wrong, I said, you are talking to a former medical examiner. You know that, right? And they shut up because they said they couldn't find anything wrong with me. And my file got lost. One doctor retired, the other doctor died, and that big tall doctor, I wanted to punch him because he said, only our medicine can heal you. We must have made a mistake. I
Well,
wanted
see,
to
that's
punch
the
him.
thing. That's the
Yeah.
program is so indoctrinated into these licensed professionals.
They believe it with all their
Yeah.
physical body and every ounce of their own physical energy, even if it drains them dry like a vampire.
And even worse, they make a vow to uphold that system. That's what all licensed professionals do. Professional license holders do. They make a
And
vow to
you,
uphold the public system, which
you
is
did it
fed
through the
by.
legal system. And I didn't
Well, I,
I didn't
well,
realize that you were into particularly into that because I always thought that you did homes, what do they call it? HOAs and things like that.
yeah. So you said, how did I get into this, right? So at the time, I wasn't even Well, I was practicing law, but most of my journey had been in the area of being an entrepreneur, and I was a bit of a professional license collector. So I had a mortgage. I had a mortgage broker's license. I had a commercial broker, real estate broker's license. I had, of course, my law license. I had a general contractor's license, an electrical contractor's license. I'd started a bank, so I had gotten a banking license, right? So I was just an entrepreneur who played with licenses. This is what I really did.
Oh,
And
wow.
what I and then I found out first through the medical license, which I didn't have one of those. Now I did go and sit on the board for the Arizona Naturopathic Physicians Association, so we used to govern the doctor's licenses, but I never had that license myself. But what I realized was through the medical licenses when I realized we're making a sworn declaration that we're going to uphold the darkness. We're going to uphold that dark energy, that the statutory law, right? That's Black's law, which is,
Right.
codified in the Black's Law Dictionary. And that's what runs all of the administration of the man-made licenses. So it's
And these
all of this
man-made licenses are for one reason. What's that one reason for?
to keep us stuck in darkness.
And it's all about transactions and money, currency, and everything is about money in these realms.
Profit,
Yeah.
profit,
And
Profit.
that's all it's about.
That's it.
So get to know Bradley, dear friends, all those of my members, get to know Bradley for who he really is. He's a man that nearly got broken by the system. He was trying to play the system, but he nearly got broken by the system. And as a result, said, hey, something's not working here anymore. I've had enough. And then what was the final day? What really pushed you over the edge? Was it your wife specifically? And what was going on?
So in that journey of her finding healing, when she kind of went through the same process you went through, and she realized that diagnosis, the death sentence from the doctor, was could be avoided by not going back to visit them, and then she healed herself of cancer without any chemo, without any by using God's herbs and medicines and food and clean water, prayer, meditation, and the body's healed. And so she started a ministry sharing that with others. And on that journey, one of the people she was working with, they went and visited this alternative lifestyle center that is also set up as a 508 church organization, and they facilitate their healing modalities through a PMA. And when I went there, because the women were like, oh my gosh, we've never been to a place like this in our life, and it was in Arizona, and so they called us to go visit. Uh, uh, when I showed up there, this guy, my mentor, a guy by the name of Morgan Langan, started telling me that the law license was just as corrupted as the medical license. And could I see that? And so I just camped out with him for about a month, and I stayed there starting to unpack what the license that I had made my vow to, to the men in the black robes, all the bar attorneys, our judges, they've all had to come into that initiation into the association, the bar association, right? And I realized, oh, this is another one of those tricks of the mind. It's teaching the exact opposite of what we should be sharing with the children of God. We're having them stuck in the idea of bowing down to Pharaoh and playing that public system game instead of answering directly to God and standing in your power as a child of God. And as you know, having your own 508 organization and now operating through your own PMA, we don't need permission from the government to do any of that stuff. The lawyers are the ones who stick us in that trap when we go to the professionals to ask about our God given gifts that we want to give to our brothers and our sisters. They train us, because that's how they're trained, to put it into a business package or a 501c3, a statutory entity. All that is a trick, and it's what gets you stuck in the matrix. And now that I learned all that, I'm spending the rest of my life setting the children of God free and helping them walk in a different jurisdiction, directly under the law of love, which comes from our Creator, comes from our Father, and it's
And
a
by the
whole
way,
nother
do you
game.
know what only license in the United States, up until recently anyway, that had God in the licensure amendments when you take your vow when you graduate? Do you know what the field was the only one that had God in it?
I'm not aware.
Chiropractors. Up until recently, God was built into the prayer because we believe in what's above, down through, and below. HIO. And this was important because we're the only one that talked about natural things and came from the light. It wasn't until the medical boards in California took over the chiropractic board and say we're now in charge that that changed. Because up until recently, that was one of the changes that occurred is God was taken out of the equation for chiropractors and any other healthcare profession in California along with Oregon, Washington, Michigan, Massachusetts, New York,
They
and
all took God out of their
yeah,
commitment, their license.
and
Yeah.
that's why I was going to go to Texas or Florida because it was at least open. And God told me, Florida bound you go if you're going to stay in the United States. That's where you're going. So, and by the way, for my audience, Bradley periodically comes and meets some of my members here in, is it Miami or Fort Lauderdale? When
I'll be in where are we going, August Rose?
Tampa to Clearwater.
Tampa.
Oh, okay. You're actually closer to us. You're only 2 hours west of us this time. You'll be in Tampa, and there's another organization I know in Tampa that teaches this on the West Coast. And I was wondering if you guys are going to work together in that regard. This other organization that's in the Tampa Clearwater area, or are you
Yeah,
going to do
we'd
it
love to
independent?
love to get connected to them. Yeah.
All right, I will introduce you to those folks. Everybody has a divine purpose, a mission and purpose in life. My patient client members can tell you that. Everybody's got a specific reason for being. And since I see things from a different perspective in general, I would love if any of my members want to visit with you. Can you give us the dates or times that you're going to be in the Tampa Clearwater area?
Yeah, well, we're coming in for an event and we're just going to be in for a couple of days and right back out. I'm getting married at the end of August, so
Good thing it's at the
we
end of August when retrograde
August
Mercury is over.
31st. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm, and by the way, I'm not getting a marriage license. I'm doing a divine union, a divine declaration. We don't involve the government in the most
excellent.
sacred relationship that two people can have. So I just want to clarify that when people hear the word
Well,
marriage. Yeah.
well, everyone knows in my group they want a marriage or if you want uh some kind of procedure after you've left your body, we're here to help you in any way, shape, and form. But you have an entire organization of doctors of divinity, so anybody can perform it and under the divine rights of the creator. So that's good to have you.
Yeah.
And we know that August has been by your side for a long time.
Yeah, she
My
started with
And
me in my in the when we had a law firm, when I had a law firm that was a statutory entity. uh, she was learning the skills of being a legal assistant there, and she quickly accelerated through that mess and now serves as a director for our private member association. So she is on the board with me of Prosperous Legacy Advisors, and she is learning how to steward her legacy, right? And by the way, that's nothing that I own. It's what we steward as children of God. And the more we let go of this idea of ownership, the more we steward in the kingdom. The more and more that comes under our purview, the more and more gifts that God gives us to be able to expand our influence. And all we're doing is learning how to be a channel of abundance to share that with the other children of God. And this is what we teach as that's what true legacy is, not the legacy you get from your statutory attorney or the licensed lawyer, the license to lie, which is what a law license is. They
twist, isn't
teach
it?
us,
Isn't the word attorney mean to twist? Or is
yeah,
that lawyer means to twist?
yeah, all of that, right? But the idea is that when you go to them and you talk to them about succession planning or legacy planning, they're teaching you how to put that into a statutory trust or use a will and estate plan, which actually locks up your assets and keeps them bound into Babylon, right? And what our process does when you give everything to your church and you become the steward of the things that are held in your church, you've put them in right relationship with their true divinity, right? We're just stewards of the things that God has gifted us with.
Right.
We don't
We own
own them.
nothing. God owns everything. And if you've heard the evil talking lately, they want humans to own nothing and the elite to own everything, humans. And we don't want that.
Another trick of the trade. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
we don't want that.
Yeah.
So,
And
All right, August, you were going to say something?
No, so I mean, it's just really funny that you bring that up because own nothing and be happy. It's a tagline, right? And we've been hearing that for years coming from the elite side of things. Like the elite want us to own nothing and be happy. But as time has gone on and I've been walking this path alongside my dad and along with all of our members in our association, I've recognized it actually doesn't matter. Either way you go, at the end of it all, we as humans will own nothing and will be happy. Now it's our decision. Do we want to own nothing because we know that God owns everything? And we're happy because we're the children of our Father, our Creator. And, everybody's got their own word and way to relate to that. Or do we want to own nothing because we're completely dependent upon the man, the big brother, and they tell us what to do, when to do, where to go, when to not go, and all those things, and have the illusion of happiness because we're comfortable, and it's really one path is not a comfortable path, but it's a free path. And the other is full of the modern day comforts, but it's also controlled and restricted and numb and dumb. And they're not even human anymore at a certain point, but that's
No. And my belief is we're under divine management, not under human management or one world management. We're under divine management. And this is what gives us the rights to inherit the divine package that comes from us before we even left heaven to come to earth, to be realizing that a part of our mission and purpose in life has to be accomplished through God, the creator, the one, the all, the everything, the big guy, the big gal, the it. Because if we don't do that, we lose that divine connection to source, whether you call it through the pineal organ or through the heart, that allows us to operate in this dichotomous world of good and evil. Our job's to master this reality, endure, persevere, and overcome it. Evil's task is to destroy us in every way, shape, and form, break us down, take away God, and 10% of human souls will go with that willingly and try to control the rest of the 70%, while 20% will go with God, and they know they have a divine mission, but only 2% of that 20% is actually going to fulfill that mission while they're still here on earth. So,
The remnant.
right.
we're aware.
Yes, I know. Oh, for the
And by
audience,
the way, I wanted to throw in too real quick that what August Rose was talking about, and when you agree to that system, owning nothing and having and being
and
happy
being
about it,
happy.
according to the man-made system, that's what all these licenses are for. That's how you're going to get your free services. You're going to get your free services from the license holders who can't talk to you about your true health. They're not going to be able to talk to you about how to use prayer and meditation and breath work
They're
to
not even going to
and
be able to talk to you about God.
yeah, exactly.
However,
Yeah,
we have plans for that.
indeed we do. Yeah.
Yes, we do. So before we get lost in time and space, I told August, when your dad and I start to talk together, we can get lost in time here. So, what is divine jurisdiction, and why do you believe that so many people are finally waking up to this now, this very moment?
Yeah. Well, I think that the silver lining of this has been this event that happened a few years ago, this pandemic event that actually made it quite obvious that the
Part one of
world.
two planned, by the way. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's an old system. I mean, it's a recreated pattern. It's nothing new. It's been happening for quite some time, and we're just seeing it and becoming more aware of it. It's becoming more obvious with this last pandemic because it hit the whole world at the same time, and they used, it was just amazing to me. But the jurisdiction, the divine jurisdiction, is when you're not paying attention to. It's under God's law, not man-made law, right? So this jurisdiction of answering directly to your heavenly Father, it is speaking your testimony, right? That's the diction part of the word, and the authority is God. So you're speaking to God. That's your juris, right? So you're speaking your word to God, not to man. So under man-made jurisdiction, statutory jurisdiction, it's all related to the political leaders of the day and the politicians, and it's all driven by civil rules of procedure, Black's Law Dictionary book, definitions that are given to us by the rule makers and politicians. That's man-made jurisdiction. And in under divine jurisdiction, you say, no, I'm outside of that. I don't bow down to that. And I answer only to my God, which is the law of love. And they're summed up in two laws, right? Love God with your whole mind and heart, And then you love yourself and your neighbor in the same way. You love your neighbor with your whole mind and heart. And you have to do it in that order, because you have to know God first to be able to love yourself and love your neighbor as yourself. Right? Most of
Beautiful.
the world doesn't love themselves. So the idea of them loving their neighbors is not, it doesn't add up. But if you're connected to the love of God first, and then you love your neighbor, now we don't need the 6 million rules that exist in this world today, right? I
Correct.
mean,
All made
we're
up
just
to fill in the
operating.
gap when they didn't do the right thing the first time anyway. So
Yeah.
excellent.
There you
Now,
go. Yeah.
I believe certain things as far as why now. How do you and August Rose feel? Why is it happening so much more now in the last couple of years?
Well, I can see that there's a study that I just listened to recently, and more than ever before across the planet, people believe we're living in the end times. Now, I know that of that day and hour, no one knows. We don't know for sure. We don't know if it's this generation or 10 generations or when it is, but there's been a prophecy that's been laid out, and actually multitudes of prophecy all across the planet, across multitudes of different religions and cultures. And they're all pointing towards one thing, which is that there is this mass division between the light and the darkness, and yet at the same time this great unification of the people of the planet, and I would say of the humans, of the men and the women of the planet Earth. And so we're all, as technology is expanding, we've watched this introduction of AI in our lifetimes that has never before been seen in our recorded human history. Now we're here, and we have access and connection across the planet. We actually can have a global movement. We can have also all the things that have been prophesied in the book of Revelations and across the Bible of, one world currency, one world leader, one world, like this one world order. It's becoming more and more and more prevalent, and more people are waking up and seeing it. And so those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear are saying, well, wait a second, I don't want to be a part of that. So what can I do? I see that as being the catalyst to people start looking. We started looking. That's how my dad shared, he got into this because his wife started looking and said, well, I have to wait for the license to be ready for me. I can't wait. What else can I do? And she followed that path, and then it sparked him, and he followed that path. And I felt like I'd been waiting since I was a child for the adults around me to wake
Right.
up.
You grew up around your dad, and your mom. And the biggest thing, sometimes it takes, for me, it was a traumatic event. I died. So, state of California came back and said, hey, you died. We need for you to sit your boards again. I said, no way. I am not doing it. So, thank goodness, because it was $2,000 a month insurance, and it went down to $26 a month for the Commission on Religious Counseling and Healing. So, big difference. And I
Wow.
just changed how I did what I did. So, big difference.
And
So,
that's a great point too, also to recognize that it is often, it's getting cancer. It was dying for you. It takes a traumatic event oftentimes to wake us up. And it's like, we now have this opportunity to look at the adversities in our life with a completely different lens, to say, how is this, the spirit coming and moving something in me that says, hey, it's time to pay attention. Hey, it's time to wake up. Hey, I've got a purpose for you. It's rather than being a tragedy, we have this opportunity to look at these things as a redirection.
excellent. And when you know your mission and purpose in life, or you're divinely connected, that mission and purpose in life will show up. And I'm so glad it did. And otherwise, I wouldn't have met your dad and everything else that progressed. I was telling him the other day, we were doing one of those trust things that you come in with, and we were doing a review. And the young man that was on, I was telling him that my PMA alone they were charging me 3 grand just for that one document that was for my private membership association. And then you said to him, you see, do you think you're being charged a lot now? And he said, no, because you get the full package with you guys. And it was under 8 grand for everything that needed to be handled, where I did mine sort of piecemeal along the way. And I could say, I wish I knew you guys 27 years ago, but you were going through your own stuff. So, and that's what happens. So let's get on to the next one, because the terminology fear. False evidence appears real. Next
Yes.
question. Fear is the greatest factor holding most people back from doing anything, whether it's the doctor perspective, the legal perspective, or anything. It's actually what the angels have told me. The number one thing that prevents human beings from living their mission and purpose in life is constant fear. Now, I have ways of getting out and through that easily, but that is a motivating factor. And in doing so, why do you believe most people can't walk their spiritual path and they don't feel that they're strong enough? And it's other than fear. So, we're not going to discuss fear. My reality is that fear is the number one thing. What's the number one thing for you guys that you see what's holding some people back? They come, they do the free review with you guys, but they don't follow through. So what's happening?
So, from my perspective, it's the busyness of life, right? Like by the time people come to us and they're having a conversation with us, they're recognizing that the system is not what they want to perpetuate, right? They want to move into a new way of being in life. And so they're having a conversation with us, and we offer people this journey that lasts for a year. I mean, because we have it that it's not just documentation that sets you free, right? It's yes, you declare your new way of being. That's what the documents are about. But it goes so much more deep than that to step into your identity as a child of God. And so we want to practice, we want to play together and assist people in becoming a trustee of a trust, becoming the board member or director of your board, or operating your spiritual organization, your 508c1A, right? And show up in the world in one of those three new capacities that you've never done before. And that doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen because somebody gives you a document or you pulled it down off the internet. And so we have a community where people get to come together weekly and role play and move, or make what we call chess moves. You see August Rose has a chessboard behind her. We love utilizing the game of chess to talk about this new way of being in the kingdom of God, right? And so we're constantly looking at chess moves each week on how people can navigate what they were doing prior in the matrix, maybe as a doctor under your medical license, or maybe as a CPA confined to the CPA license, right? And we assist people in converting their clients into members of their PMA, or being a co-trustee or on the board of advisory board for their trust organization, right? And so that's just a journey. And so I think when people step into this, they're either looking for the quick fix because of that fear, or they're understanding that this is just a new way of being, and I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life.
And if it's not
And
fear holding them back, it's that overwhelm of daily life, which is what
yeah,
the angels say. It's the next most common thing other than fear is this overwhelm and self-doubt. Well, I can't do this. This is not for me. I got a family, got to pay the bills, got to do this. And that is keeping you, along with
yeah,
the lack of forgiveness in this world for both other people and yourself.
yeah.
This is what angelically God says is what holds humans back from fulfilling their purpose and missions in life. And so,
So
with
another
that,
way to kind of to summarize that would be it's the illusion of time, right? Not
yes,
thinking that you have
linear
enough
time.
time, not thinking that you've got enough energy, that you've got too many other distractions. It's the illusion of time, which doesn't even really exist because we're already eternal beings and we're here doing our calling. We're answering what God wants us to do, and there's plenty of time to do that. You have the rest of eternity to do that. So
Oh, and it's just you're practicing along the way. All
that's right.
right. You taught that divine law works like nothing else does. And we know that for those of us that are part of this, the PMA, the 508, the trust. So, what is your trust from this experience, and what is the truth about that trust from this experience?
Yeah. So again, it's trust is what all of these things that we're doing inside of our private member association is assisting people with distinguishing a new language, right? We're writing our own instruction manual for how we're going to live our life. And so the trust is a way to capture that concept in a document. But the trust is really in relationship to your understanding of your spiritual connection to God, right? That's when you trust that, when you know that's your identity, when you know that you're a child of God, the rest of it takes care of itself. right? And so you step into this trust with your heavenly Father, and then you just give your testimony on a horizontal level to the rest of the world. And when
And that
you're able,
truth that comes from that trust.
and the truth that comes out of that trust is that you are an invincible child of God that actually cannot die. The death culture that they give us, right? Like you're a living testimony of this, Scott, right? Like you've already exemplified that, your spirit left your body. It didn't die. It left your body. The body, the physical temple goes away, but the spirit lives on forever. And you've demonstrated that not once, but twice, right? Isn't this true? And so, I mean, I can't even think of a better example to be speaking this to. But the idea is that's who we are. And when we trust that, and there's truth in that, as demonstrated by your own journey, then we're not afraid of the matrix. We're not afraid of Pharaoh. We're not afraid of the system, and we just start walking our truth out. And of course, the first way to do that, the easy way to do that, is to show up as a trustee in the world. I mean, now you're in right alignment with your relationship with your heavenly Father. You're just stewarding His resources, not the matrix assets, but His resources, and you have a whole new way of operating in the world.
Even in the New Testament, it talks about when Jesus was asked, should we pay taxes or not? And he says, give what is due Caesar, Caesar's, but also give to what is God, God. Well, what is God's? What belongs to God? We belong to God. Our
Everything.
bodies are on loan from the Creator. These are just facades, just like this uniform I wear as Dr. Robinson is simply this is what we put on for the day, only it's this part of us or your part of it, what our hair color is, what our skin color is. It is actually an illusion of the grandest level that allows us to be in this experience. Spiritual beings in a physical reality having a spiritual, physical experience that we call life. But according to the angels, this isn't life, that is. So if you have that truth, you must have faith in the Creator, trust in a being stronger than us to connect to the Creator, whoever what you call that, and belief in your own divinity. And then you're able to live that life with courage, or I like to say from the Jewish aspect, chutzpah. So you must live your chutzpah and that moxie, that energy. You got chutzpah, you got strength. And that tells you your inner power. And so before we run out of time, because August Rose told me to keep you on time, if someone's listening and feels the tug to take this divine path which you have offered, what's the next step in the process and why is it so important? And what other things can you leave for our members if they want to communicate with you?
Yeah, so we've made that process extremely easy for people to start to understand more. If what we're talking about is tickling your ears and you've got a gift from God, a service that flows through you, you want to share it with your brothers and your sisters, and you're not sure if it fits into all the things we're talking about, we can have a conversation about it. It's called a divine discovery call. And during the Divine Discovery Call, we will explore exactly what you're up to and see how it matches the energy that we're talking about. And we'll ask you to give your testimony, and then we'll dialogue about that. And I've found that almost anyone I talk to who thinks that what they're doing doesn't qualify because no, it's a business. Like, how am I going to move it over here into this divine jurisdiction? If they just start to think about it with some coaching, they can transcend that idea that what they're doing doesn't fit in this model. We haven't found anything yet that doesn't fit
Get
in this
into it.
model.
I heard
It,
some of the members that when we do our play dates on Wednesdays are doing some interesting things that I didn't know you could even put them into that. So this is
yeah.
wonderful. Even opened up my way of thinking because I only thought of it from the medical legal aspect. Now, from the August Rose viewpoint, she grew up in the system, in our new system, in our true system. So August Rose, what is it you see as new people come in and investigate it? Because you see it from a different perspective from your father.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I got really excited a moment ago where you talked about how we need it takes faith. Like what I see is that it takes this faith to actually take that courageous first step to say yes. I see that what my service is actually a service, that the work that I'm here to do in this life, it's not just for me, it's for generations to come. So I see that people are actually extraordinary. I watch our new members get inspired about what they're actually going to leave, the legacy that they're going to leave on this planet that's longer than just their name and just their story. And I wouldn't say I grew up 100% inside. I mean, I didn't grow up in this all the way. I started waking up around the same time. You know, my dad and I kind of had a similar journey. I just spent a lot less time programmed in the matrix, and I never fully bit the apple. Like, I never fully swallowed the fruit. I might have taken a bite of it, I chewed it, I'm like, this doesn't taste right, I spit it out. And that's what this process is like. It's the spitting out of all the programs that we ate and we ingested and we bought the program, and then so many of us assimilated it to such a degree that we then started selling the program to others, right? Parents started selling that program to their kids because it's all that they knew. And so it takes courage and it takes faith to step out of everything that you've ever known before and say, I'm going to walk in a new direction. I'm going to go a new way. And the testimonies that are showing up inside of my life of people who are just the men and women, the children of God, who are so blown away by what's now possible, and the degree of, it's like all the tape, the red tape gets just taken off of your purpose. It's like the spider webs getting cleared out of the pathway as you're walking along, and you cut, you know, you're taking a machete. We're out here in the jungle, so you take a machete out in your path in the jungle, you cut down a leaf that was in your way, and it's like the most beautiful view expands out before you, and it's a journey, and we're foragers of this path together, and that's what I see is coming through.
And the advantage, I believe, you're growing up in a new system, creating a new system that can be passed back down. Dad and I, we've gone onto another level, and we've seen it for years and years and years. But you guys, I'm glad, very glad to see younger folks getting involved now, realizing the system that they thought was the only way isn't. Matter of fact, it's a grand illusion that needs to be eliminated, changed, altered, deleted, and modified to the highest level. So, from both of your perspectives, how can my members get a hold of your members through Prosperous Legacy Advisors? How do they do that?
Yeah, so if you go to prosperouslegacyadvisors.com, www.prosperouslegacyadvisors.com, and advisors is spelled ERS at the end. There's two ways to spell it. I think actually we've got both domain names, so I don't think it matters. Isn't that true, August Rose? I think we got, yeah. So, but we spell it, it's right there on her screensaver, right? So right here on my screensaver too.
Right.
prosperouslegacyadvisors.com. And there's resource there, which is I did 5 hours of masterclass teaching on divine law, right? So they can get that for free there. They can register for that divine discovery call there. And so those, from my perspective, are probably the two easiest moves to get started down the journey of learning about what we teach and how we might be able to serve the people that you're serving, Scott, or that are listening to this call now. August Rose, what else do you have to add to that?
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure everyone's aware. So we enter into this conversation at a deeper level with our members. So the first thing that shows up is we invite you to become a member. So just make sure if you go to our website, sign the member agreement, and then you'll get access to those 5 hours of divine law, sacred stewarding masterclass. That is our content that's there for you. We want to assist everyone who is interested to walk deeper, no matter what your resource level is. And so that's just there. And then as my dad said, you can book a divine discovery. Also, if you're seeing this before August 2nd, Scott, will some people see this before August 2nd?
Yes.
So if you're seeing this before August 2nd, you can go to www.divinelawchallenge.com and you can come join for the event of a lifetime. I am so inspired and excited to see what transpires out of this day. So we're having a masterclass. It's at noon Central Time. So that's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. DivineLawMasterclass.com. You can register. It's Saturday, August 2nd. It's going to be a pretty epic event. Bradley and John England, who's the founder of a 508 community that we live in down here in Costa Rica, who's built the living, or I should say God has built through him and his leadership team, the living example of everything that my dad and I teach about PMAs and trusts and 508 foundations. And so if you want to learn more about that world, that's a great way for somebody to get plugged in.
And when is the day that you guys are coming to the Tampa Clearwater area?
The next day, August 3rd.
They're going to fly out immediately. So if they can't get online and join you and to see what I've seen online, then by all means, for all my client members here in Florida, if you'd like to meet the both of them and the rest of the staff, then by all means, it'll be. Do you know the location, actual name of the hotel or place that you're going to be?
Well, I'm not going to share the name of the hotel that we're going to be. We can't have people, just anybody showing up there and saying hey, but we'll be in Clearwater Beach. It's a pretty small space, and if you have an overwhelming amount of people who really want to meet up, we may be able to schedule something for. We're in a conference all day long We're there for 3 days. We fly in one day, there for 3 days, fly out the next day. So we're in a conference for 2 of those days. So if you've got an overwhelming amount of people, let us know. We can probably schedule something on that third.
In my case, I'd like to go there to at least give you guys a hug, say
Okay.
hi, maybe break a little bread, and then
Yeah.
head back 2 hours back to where I live towards Orlando. So, yeah.
Let's.
Maybe we try to put that together on Wednesday, and if you've got other people that want to show up, we can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on that Wednesday is, what is that day?
August 6th.
August 6th. So
My mom's birthday. Yeah.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Okay. If you're going to go all the way to Tampa, you got to go to the beach, and you guys are going to be right on the beach. So,
Yes.
all right. Now I know that. So, again, this has been another episode of There Are No Lines in Heaven. It's actually the 45th time that I've been in front of the audience here on podcasts, YouTube videos, and Zooms. So, it's audience, I will have anything for any of my members that want to see this. This will also be airing on Rumble, my website on Rumble, as well as my normal website at https:// there are no lines in heaven.com. Again, thank you to August Rose and Bradley Logan. God bless to everyone as we say thank you, dear God. And thank you to all Jesus, Michael, and every other angel that comes in to our divine realm to assist us on this divine mission and purpose in life. We only have one life to live, and that is for the Creator and why He sent us here. He, she, it. Love you guys, and thank you so
Scott.
much for being my guest today. And I will be sharing that with all my members. And I am writing it down now for August the 6th. And if August Rose, you'll let me know privately, please let me know where so we can arrange a time and a location for that. All right?
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Guys, love you. All right.
Thank you.